is you telling me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You tuned in to episode 9 of Throw the Hook podcast. End of the year type stuff. 2025, man. It's your boy G5 Jeff TV, aka G5, aka 5, aka the Guru. Got my dog in here, man. Boxing First Vlog, aka Blunt, aka the Blunt Truth. What's going on, bro?
Man, this feel good to be in the building, wrapping up this boxing year. Hopefully we have a more exciting year. Not that this year didn't have its moments, which we will share shortly. But I just thought hopefully next year will be a little bit more exciting, and it seems like it's starting off that way. So, we could talk about that at a future date. But anyway, I'm glad to be here, man. It's your friendly neighborhood OG BFV, #TBT. You dig?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I got my dog in the building, man. Ty Finney, the legend. What's going on, bro?
What's going on, man? Happy to talk this boxing, man. Happy New Year's to everyone.
Facts.
Right back at you.
Facts, bro. Facts, man. You know what I'm saying? This show was actually requested, by some folks. So hopefully, we'll get a little crowd up in here, and we could definitely talk about things like. So this is basically going to be an award show for boxing for this year, and we got a number of topics we're going to cover. We're going to actually cover some news though before we get started. The unfortunate news, Anthony Joshua, if unless you've been sleeping under a rock or something, you all heard about what happened with Anthony Joshua. I think it was in Nigeria. Car accident. Two of his best friends passed away. So condolences to their families and Anthony Joshua, their whole team. Some things is bigger than boxing, and that's just something that was unforeseen. And you hate hearing things like that. We hop in cars every single day, to get from point A to point B, and all it takes is for one dumb what to set it off. And Blunt, you already know how them Arizona streets be be rolling, brother. You on mute, baby. You on mute, baby.
I said you don't want me to put my tinfoil kufi on with this one because I don't know, bro. 92, you know what I mean? So
hey man, it's and it's just you hate to hear stuff like that, man. So just off top, condolences to both of the guys that passed, their families and loved ones, and the Anthony Joshua. Hopefully he makes a full recovery physically, and just get back to normal life. And if it's boxing after that, it's boxing after that. So definitely rest in peace and condolences for sure. Definitely want to kick it off with that. Now the big card that's going on January 31st, Teofimo Lopez, Shakur Stevenson. That card is rounding up really, really, really nice, real nice. But I also want to mention there's another card that's going on too on the 24th in Vegas at the Fontainebleau.
Keyshawn?
No, Andy Cruz. Andy Cruz main event. That's going down too. Jesse Hart and Khalil Cole is going to be on that card too. That's a nice card too. So January's looking pretty nice.
That's what I said, man. It's starting off fireworks, man. I thought it was January, not July. You dig?
Yeah, for sure. So we got definitely those two cards coming up. So we definitely got some things to talk about. Keyshawn, Jermaine Ortiz, that's gonna be a fight, bro.
Yeah, I like that. I like
that fight. The fact that he got a co-main on there, that's what's up. That's love too, despite what happened with him in Virginia and all that. So I was surprised he actually got a co-main slot. So
I
big shout out
mean,
to Keyshawn.
it wasn't no cheating. It was undisciplined.
Just
So you know what I mean?
unprofessional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you took a little slap on the hand, on the wrist, so to speak, and you had to sit back, watch
Yeah.
others get the big fights and make the moves with Turkey and all of that. So now he got to show up and show out. That's all I can say about the young man.
Yes,
I'm not a
sir.
big fan of him personally, but you know what I mean? I'm a fan of boxing, so I hope he do get back in the ring and do his 1-2.
Jose Vasquez in the building, man. What's going on, bro? Big shout out to you, man. Big shout out to your victory too, man. With Almighty Monk. You know what I'm saying? That fight went down. Up and coming heavyweight, man. We're gonna have him on the show as well, man. That's his trainer in the trainer and pad, man, in his comment section. Big shout out to Jose. No Scope. He said, hi, what's going on? No Scope. He said JYD called us to fight. Okay, we're gonna rap. We're gonna rap for sure. We definitely gonna rap. No Scope said what's up. Put a 1 in the chat if we sounding good. Say appreciate you, boss man. Yeah, that's long overdue. Y'all supposed to been on the show a long time ago, man. That's long overdue, but I think the time. Put a 1 in the chat if we sounding good, man. And we actually just gonna get the award show started. We gonna get it up and rolling. No Scope said it's a 1. That means it's a go. That's what I'm talking about. Yo, so we gonna do is we're gonna give out awards for 2025. Only how we can do it. How Throw the Hook podcast can do it. In This Corner Boxing can do it. BFV can do it. So we're gonna cover a number of topics. We're gonna cover a number of them. We're gonna have KO of the year, fighter of the year, fight of the year, upset of the year, and most disappointing fighter of the year. BFV, I'm going to give you the opportunity to pick where we're going first.
Let's go with fight of the year.
Fight of the year. So we are going to go fight of the year. There you have it. Fight of the year. So we've had some great fights this year in 2025. I'm just going to run off the ones that I jotted down, but we can kind of freestyle this. So fight of the year, we could do due to significance, we could do Canelo Crawford. I think that's definitely up there. I think Pitbull Cruz and Lamont Roach, we can factor that in too. We can actually, I think Pitbull Cruz and Tank was early 2025. Am I correct?
Roach you mean Roach and Tank?
Roach and Tank, yes. Roach and Tank.
Yeah.
We do Roach and Tank. Beterbiev Bivol. We could do Beterbiev Bivol. We could do Conor Benn and Eubank. And yeah. And Inoue and Cardenas too. That was the fight when Inoue got knocked down, came back and got the dub. So we got a lot of suggestions and ones outside of that. So
I got one off everybody's radar.
Go ahead.
It's a twofer for me. The Callum Smith and Bawasi fight. That went the distance. That was for the light heavyweight title, WBO. So it was an upset. As far as I'm concerned, it was an upset. I didn't have it as wide as the judges had it. They had it a 4-round upset. I had it by 2. But it was a back and forth fight. You know what I mean? For me, it was a couple 10-10 rounds in there, but that's how I score rounds. You know what I mean? So I'm a little bit different than the rest of these folks out here in the streets when it comes to judging rounds. If you didn't take it, you didn't take it. But if you didn't lose it, you didn't lose it. So you know what I mean? It's got to be a balance in there somewhere. You can't force me to pick somebody when nobody clearly took a round. So I judged that fight a little bit differently than them judges for sure. But I did have Callum pulling it out though, and I thought that was a back and forth. That was a war. You know what I mean? But I think Bawasi, he just slowed down when it came to them championship rounds, 10, 11, 12. He was getting out slugged in there, moved around too. He was getting moved around a little bit, but early. He was pushing the younger, bigger fighter back. You know what I mean? Because Callum Smith had the height on him a little bit. And I thought size-wise, he was a little bigger. You know, that youth kind of show up a little better on camera. Buatsi being the veteran between the two. So that was one of them fights y'all gotta go back and look at, bro. That was a slobber knocker,
Yeah.
old school.
Old school, yeah. I'm gonna definitely go back and go watch that. It'd be so many fights during the year, like, and it's like we don't just watch the main cards. We watching off, off the radar cards and everything else. Like we got our ear to the street for sure. Hey, Ty Finney, who you got for fight of the year?
Man, for me, for fight of the year, it wasn't as big as it names, but still, for me, it's Abdullah Mason of Sand Oaks. It was a world title fight, undefeated records on the line, both guys, a lot of power, and it was a toe-to-toe, fan-friendly fight. You know, both guys got cut up, and, you know, Abdullah Mason, you know, he made himself a world champion and brought the title back to the States. So, you know, I'm happy for the young man, and that, to me, that fight lived up to the hype, and to me, it was one of the best fights on that card of the night.
I like that. I like that selection. Hold on, real quick, just for shits and giggles. Blunt, what's your opinion of Sam Oaks?
Man, that's the dirtiest, filthiest dude I've seen in a while. Like, bro, he was doing so much dumb shit in the ring. He was causing himself injuries. You know what I mean? Like, come on, bro. Like, come on, bro. And then, but it caused him, I ain't gonna lie, it caused him to have some moments in that fight. A lot of that chippy type of stuff that he was doing because he couldn't deal with the youngster, couldn't keep the youngster off of him. He started getting real chippy. It paid off for him in some of the later rounds where it kind of took a little bit of steam out of Mason. So he did have some moments based on a lot of that real gritty type of stuff he was doing. I don't want to go too deep and really put the hammer on his head right now, so because that's not the topic. But I just thought that was a real nasty fight, though, for some of the things.
I feel you, alley-oop on that one. I'll take full.
I gotta be honest with it and slam it, but I didn't go as hard in the paint as I should. I probably laid it up. That's all.
Yeah. No Scope said I have some motivation for you. Never give up, even if it's a hard time. No, that's for sure, bro. Definitely taking that message into 2026, just in the life period, man. Because you know, part of that was the reason why, you know, we wasn't on like for a minute. Like, you know what I'm saying? I had to kind of get that back. So I definitely resonate with that for sure. Put y'all fight of the year in the comment section, man. Put y'all fight of the year in the comment section for sure. Jose said Monk for KO and upset of the year. He said I'm biased like an MFer. Listen, off the radar though, Jose, like Monk definitely got one of the bigger upsets of the year, man. He was up against a top prospect in the heavyweight division, got a knockout. And he also had knockout of the year in that same fight. It was a twofer. You know what I'm saying? So big shout out to Almighty Monk, man. We definitely gonna have him on the show for sure. My fight of the year, to be honest, I don't have one clear cut. Like, I don't have one clear cut. I really like the Beterbiev Bivol 2. I definitely like that fight. They was definitely getting busy in that fight. Roach and Pitbull was a late entry too. They definitely got busy. Now Crawford and Canelo, like, that was just significance, but I didn't really the fight itself outside of the significance, I didn't think it was like fight of the year type stuff. It was really only one round where they really got busy, and I think that was round 9 if I'm not mistaken. But other than that, I didn't think the actual, fight was like this all-time great fight. I think it was its significance. If it's up to me, I think I would pick Beterbiev Bivol 2, or I would probably go Lamont and Pitbull, probably one of them two. But it wasn't a whole lot of fights where it was just like, it was like, whoa, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was some good fights, but it wasn't a lot that was like, I mean, all-time great fights.
But I was telling you that about this year in boxing a couple shows back, and I don't think it kind of resonated with everybody because we were just coming off the situation with Young Haney. And that's a potential fight of the year just based on the accomplishment and the strategy used. You know what I mean? So I think, you know what I mean, we saw a little bit of power in that fight, which, you know, I think that was a fight of the year, just kind of slowed down towards the end where, you know, the guy that was up did the smart thing and, you know, didn't go to war. So it takes a little bit of steam off of it being fight of the year. But if you want to say accomplishment, it'd be up there with what Crawford did as far as you know, going out undisputed 3-time and all of that. So I just thought, you know what I mean, Haney and that he record chasing, you know what I mean, belt chasing. So I ain't mad at that. That's an accomplishment in itself.
I agree with that for sure. So it's but I'm glad you said what you said as far as like the year. I think 2025 had a year of, I think, stacked cards that looked good going in, and then just some of the fights just really didn't like materialize the way we wanted it to. I think it was a solid year. I would say it was a solid year. I would give it probably maybe a B. I would give it maybe a B.
I'll give it B plus.
I'm not even mad at that. Hey, Todd, like, what would you rate boxing this year? Just if you had to give it a grade, just the overall quality of fights.
Like, if it was on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say like a good 7.
Like a 7?
Like, like a 7. I wouldn't say it was the best. I know, like the past years, we had a lot of undisputed. I can't really recall if we had a lot of undisputed fights this year. I know
that sounds like a C plus to me, don't it? Sound like a C plus. We on the same.
Yeah, 7.
But I would say it was like you said, it was a lot of good cards. We had a lot of good cards for sure, but I can't say if they all really lived up to the hype though.
Okay, all right, that's fair.
You know what I think hurt it too? This reconstruction with the streaming and people actually losing they visual platforms such as Top Rank, such as PBC. So I think that hurt boxing for this year. Hopefully, whatever DAZN got going on with letting everybody come to their platform with their fighters and whatever they worked out on the back end. So hopefully that continues to grow.
Hey, bro, I'm going a little off topic here. Can I pitch something your way real quick, and we can get right back to it? I'm glad you said that, and I was kind of thinking about this. I kind of want to get y'all opinions on it. So with Turki Al-Sheikh and DAZN, it's, you know, it's two different piggy banks. You got the Turki Al-Sheikh piggy bank, and you have, you know, the DAZN piggy bank. Now, Turki Al-Sheikh is basically kind of the big dog in the sport. How do you guys feel about him possibly maybe doubling back to some of the old channels we used to watch as far as boxing is concerned? So I'll give you an example. HBO's not in boxing anymore. But I think they're not in boxing strictly because they were being controlled by Al Heyman. They had no creative control, and they were basically losing a lot of money. But whether you like Turki Al-Sheikh or not, I think it's safe to say like he don't like garbage fights. Like he gonna put some fights together. If it's a situation where he could actually maybe convince a HBO or a Showtime, or even empower like a Pro Box to increase their, you know, well, for HBO to get back into the game, but take like a Pro Box TV and actually enhance their budget, things like that. How do you guys feel about that? Like, just to get more channels and more
you know why I feel like you saying that, and it's not even that you're asking a question. I think you're just making a statement at the end, because it's true. Because if you lose, and I'm gonna give you an example of these type of fighters, the Gamboas of the boxing world, by not them having an original platform to kind of, you know what I mean, give us an example of what they may bring to a fight against a Tank. Like, so if we didn't know who Gamboa was and what he was able to do in the ring, we probably wouldn't have thought highly of a victory like that again with Tank when he beat this cat. So if we don't see them type of fighters at the pro box level and them actually getting some decent views and support to be pushed out there, it's going to hurt in the long run, because everybody just going to awfully be looking for the Crawford boots and the Crawford and Canelo Charlos, or the boots and the Charlo. Everybody going to be looking for them type of fights all the time.
Yeah. Hey, Ty, how you feel about that? Like just having like a Turki Al-Sheikh, maybe using a Pro Box TV to kind of put on more fights, or to maybe empower like a Pro Box TV or something like that, just to get us more fights and more balance in terms of where we can watch our fights. How you feel about that, bro?
I think it's a good move because, you know, Pro Box do put on a lot of fights, but it's not like the names that we really know. Like Pro Box got a card coming up right here in Maryland. Right at Maryland Live, Vegeta puts his cards together all the time. So
facts.
Yeah, I think it's a good move, but I think that Turki, he likes to try to mix it up. I think, like, for instance, when he had that Ryan Garcia Rolly fight, a lot of people didn't like that. You know what I mean? It was in New York, but it was outside. Wasn't a big crowd. And then I know Ryan was saying like he really couldn't perform because of the, you know, pulling up in the cars, you know, not the big crowd. It was just a different atmosphere. And I seen a lot of pro fighters talking about that too. Like I understand Turki was trying to do something different, but I think that really backfired.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good point. That's a good point too, because and to be clear,
look, you know where they did that same thing. That's when he had that 8-hour card and it was outside. It was in the stadium, but technically outside. That was a terrible, terrible card, bro. First of all, it's too long. And why is everybody outside like that?
Well, I didn't have a problem with the outside thing when it was COVID. I didn't have a problem with it when they had it.
No, that wasn't COVID.
No, I know what you're talking about. I'm talking about something separate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like when they was outside, like during COVID, and they was at the Eddie Hearn mansion and all that. I was just like, all right, that was cool. Like that was all right. But that's not the first time that's happened. Eddie Hearn actually tried that. He was in the Midwest, and he had a boxing ring in the middle of a street, and they were coming out of the hotel, coming to the ring. So they've tried to get innovative, but I think you can't get innovative with those big names. You got to keep it traditional. You got to be in the stadium. You got to be in the arenas, because you got to make the money make sense. The money got to make sense in a situation like that. So Ty, I actually agree with that. I think some of the ideas that they've had, like, is good for the lower scale. You know what I'm saying? But not for a Ryan Garcia and a Rolly. So I actually agree with that. I agree with that for sure. All right, so you know what? I'm gonna pick the next one. Let's do KO of the year. Let's do KO of the year. We've had a couple of good knockouts. We had a couple of good knockouts for sure. The ones I have on my list, I think we're all gonna pick the same one. I'll take that back. No one Blunt. He probably got something else cooked up. KO of the year. We got Frank Martin versus Francis Bartholomew. That was a nasty knockout by the Ghost. Big shout out to Frank Martin too, man. This Francis Bartholomew can be a boring fighter sometimes, but it's hard to get that type of a KO on him. Like, he usually goes a distance and makes fights look ugly. So definitely that fight. Joseph Parker versus Martin Bakole. That was a nasty knockout too. That was he had him doing the stank leg in that fight. That was a good fight. If you didn't see the short I put up, I definitely put a short up of the knockouts for the knockout of the year. Also Fabio Worley versus Honey. That fight, that was a big knockout. And then Brian Norman Jr. versus Jin Sasaki out in Japan. That was a huge knockout as well. Tom, I'm gonna come your way first. what do you have for knockout of the year?
So I was gonna pick Parker and Bacoli. You got that out the way, so I'm gonna run with this one. Usyk and Dubois. I say that because even though Dubois wasn't flat out on his back or anything like that, this was his opportunity, to correct that wrong. The first fight, what happened? Everybody was trying to say that low blow wasn't for real. Usyk was faking. So he had an opportunity to run it back. And what he used to do this time, man, that hook put him out, had the mouthpiece come out. And once the ball hit that canvas, you can tell he ain't want it. He got up and walked straight to the corner. He didn't want it. So Usyk solidify himself, as that guy in the heavyweight division. So to me, that's one of the knockouts of the year for me.
That's an interesting pick. I didn't think of that one. I
can't give you that, bro. I can't give you that.
Hold on. What you got, bro?
Stopped this dude before. It's easy. You got to give it to Norman. He did that in old boy backyard, which in their estimation he had to do because they was worried about the cards. So that to me, when you go to somebody's crib and knock their ass out, he could have went to dude's house and basically baked the cake and laid up with his broad if he wanted to. Like, you know what I mean? Like somebody had to console his broad. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, bro, like that you hands down, even though he turned around and, fell at the bad into a fight of the year contender for me. But, I mean, I got to give him his flowers where they do. That's for sure KO of the year. One shot.
Yeah, that was definitely.
And he put a little bit of boxing with it. It wasn't just I'm a mauling with my power and overwhelming. No, he set that up.
Yeah, you can see the parry before the hook. Yeah, you can see the parry before the hook for sure. He gave a look. He gave a look going like he was going to the body and brought it up top, man. It was a beautiful shot, man. In terms of just being a nasty knockout, I would definitely say Brian Norman and Jen Psaki. I mean, that was one of them throwback. That was one of them throwback knockouts. Like that joint was absolutely nasty. And KO of the year is always trumped by a knockout like Brian Norman's. You know what I mean? Like that was one of the nastiest knockouts you're gonna see. If I did a show 5 years, the best knockout of the last 5 years, that would be in the top.
Yeah, that's a decade. That's like, remember when they used to say dunk of the decade? That's a KO of the decade. You want to go back 10 years, bro? That's going to be up there with the best of them and still at the top of the list. Trust me, I did a little bit of looking back in my own memory banks, and obviously I'm Googling and double checking, and that's still one of the nasty, because like I said, you got to put in the circumstances and where it happened at. If that was a neutral site, it would affect, you know what I mean? Like you got to look at it like, for me in the Rancid situation, you talking about a worn down dude. You talking about a dude that struggled to stay in that 140, that stay out of that welterweight mix and stay out of that drama. He did his best. His body was worn down. I kind of take a little edge off of that from Frank Martin. Like, you was actually supposed to go in there and do that. You in there looking like a superhero. If you didn't do that, I'm faulting you. I'm gonna start calling you Tim Bradley now.
Factor this in too. He did have a 2-year layoff and did that too, though. That was impressive.
I mean, but
was out 2 years.
Didn't Rancid have a 2-year layoff as far as doing anything that would think you had a chance in that fight? No,
I agree with that too. But I think that kind of evens the playing field, because I mean, if you're fighting on a regular basis and
you saying both of these dudes, one not having anything that would make you think he had a chance in that fight, anything going on in Francis Barthélemy, and then you got a dude that coming off a 2-year layoff who obviously stayed in condition, kept his body in top tip form. So I salute the bro, the young soldier, for that. I think he was supposed to do that. It wasn't like, again, you went halfway around the world. You might as well have been on your way to the moon. Did it go land and knock a motherfucker out, then turn around, get back on your spaceship and go home?
Well, that's the thing. Like, it's I would agree with you 99.9% of the time with that. The only thing I'm going to give Frank Martin is that it was the type of loss that he took and why he was off for 2 years. Like he had one of them classic knockouts too.
Yeah, he got started. That's why I said even his knockout.
That's why I said I give him credit. I give him credit for what he did to Bartholomew, despite Bartholomew being on the downside.
So what's your vote then? You argue?
Oh no, my vote. No, I really just wanted to kind of just mention that, but it's for me clearly is Norman and Jen Psaki. Like that's probably the clearest.
You the champ. He was the champ. We gotta forget that. The champ said, I'll take his backyard. A little different situation with the Haney joint, because the Haney situation, that was pre-negotiated for him to have to go back there and defend that belt. So it wasn't like it was his choice to say, yeah, I'll go fight you in your backyard for this undisputed situation. So that's a little different than what Norman did. Norman went over there to defend his belt. So, and you blitzed this dude. It was a little chippy fight, you know what I mean? They both had their little moments. To that point, Norman was a little bit frustrated that he couldn't get off until he just timed it. He made something happen. To me, that's KO of the decade, bro. I'm still looking for something better than that.
Yeah, I would pick that just off the violence of it. That was just very violent. That was a violent.
And then you combine the whole situation. This wasn't no regular 10-round fight. This for a belt. You know what I mean?
Championship fight, road game for him.
Yeah, all of that. That's man, major.
Yeah. Hey, Ty, we gonna leave it up to you to pick the next topic. We got most disappointing fighter of the year. We got fighter of the year. And we have upset of the year. Which one we going with?
I'm gonna go with upset.
Upset of the year. Upset of the year. So I'm just gonna run off a couple of upsets that we had in 2025. Of course, you guys can bring in selections off of the list. Rolly versus Ryan Garcia. We had Caleb Plant versus Jose Resendez. That upset happened. Joseph Parker versus Fabio Wardley. That was another big upset. And Kelvin Davis and Nahir Albright. That happened in 2025 as well. So, of course, obviously there were some other upsets as well. So, Ty, I'll let you kick it off. What was upset of the year for you?
And for me, it was definitely Fabio Wardley beating Joseph Parker. I say that because I look at it like this. I know Joseph Parker's been stopped before, but to me, with the way his career was going, the solid wins over Bacoli, Wilder, Zhang, I looked at him as the guy that was going to be challenging Usyk.
He was going to get a title fight.
So I've heard from pro fighters that said Joseph Parker behind the scene, he works hard. Hard. That's why he has so many wins in a row. So just him getting stopped, but at the same time he gets tested positive for cocaine. So I'm like, So what are you doing? Like if you on a collision course to be fighting for undisputed, what you doing? You get stopped and you get tested positive for cocaine. So for me, that's definitely the upset of the year.
Yo, I think Joseph Parker I think he's a heavyweight fighter. I think he a drug lord. I think he a corner boy. I think he work in the drug house. I think he chopping up dimes and quarters. I think he do it all, man. Wherever the bag is, that's what Joseph Parker going to be at.
What you call him? Pusha P?
Yeah, that's Pusha P. That's Pusha P. That's Pusha P right there. Pusha Parker. You know what I mean? But no, that's a really good choice. And Todd, I'm not saying that's my upset of the year, but the reason I had one of them, that fight is one of the options, is strictly because of Fabio Wardley to get the actual Joseph Parker opportunity. He had to upset the fight before that to even get the Joseph Parker fight. So Fabio Wardley, he was on an upset streak that year. But no, Joseph Parker was the odds-on favorite to get a heavyweight title shot at the time that happened. So I actually like that one. Vlog, where we going with it?
I must not be in the right ballpark. How is Haney not the biggest upset of the year? We just gave this dude knockout of the decade. And then you going up against a dude coming up in weight after struggling at 140.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah. I don't think that was an upset, Vlog. I think
Haney was the favorite.
Haney was the favorite. I might be wrong.
Let me finish.
Hardcore boxing fans knew that Haney was going to win that.
All right, bro. But the hardcore boxing fans ain't the only fans that feed this sport. So the sport, based on the numbers, he came in as the underdog. He ended up as the betting favorite. So yeah, after we got in the streets and told people what's what, people probably started listening and they switched their numbers up. So it has to be upset of the year. After coming off his performance against Ramirez, why wouldn't you think he'll get out there and get dog walked, struggle, at least do more to holding on than we would think that he ended up doing? He did it a little later in the fight, which was smart still to me, but he did it a little later in the fight. If you pay attention to that fight, it was old boy holding on. After he got close, couldn't do nothing, he started tying up because he didn't want that smoke when Devin would back up out of there and hit him with some combination shit and slide up out of that infighting that was going on. He didn't want none of that, so he tied up and let the refs come break it up. So Dev paid back later once he locked the fight up. That's upset of the year to me.
I'm glad y'all brought this up. I'm so glad y'all brought this up. And I figured y'all two was going to bring this one up. I didn't even put it on my list.
I brought it up.
I know. I didn't put it on my list because I was confident one of y'all two was going to mention this fight. Here's the thing with Devin Haney and Brian Norman Jr. And I think both of you guys articulated your points well. You have the hardcore boxing fans that are borderline in the sport. Like, if you know X's and O's and strategy and things like that, you probably weren't buying into the Brian Norman Jr. as a monster and he's like this clear favorite, right? So then you got the other side, like Blunt said, you had the casuals and the semi-hardcores that was listening to the Sergio Moras of the world, and they were pitching this narrative that Brian Norman Jr. was like this, new age monster, at 147 pounds. So it really depends on where you are as a boxing fan or a boxing purist. If you're more on the hardcore side, you're not going to consider that an upset. If you're more towards, you thought Brian Norman Jr. was a monster, or you thought Devin Haney was on the downside of his career and you thought that was like a major resurgence, then I can see you saying, hey, that might be upset of the year. Me personally, take away that I'm a boxing hardcore. Take away that, right? Take away that. Me watching Brian Norman Jr. and what he did to Jen Psaki, even though Jen Psaki, that was a championship fight, and even though Brian Norman had to go on the road to go get that, Jen Psaki was an unknown prior to that fight. Pure unknown, but he was ranked number 2. He was ranked number 2. Like, Brian Norman went and did what he had to do. In terms of upset of the year, if you're gonna go with that, you gotta have one of them two opinions. You either thought Brian Norman Jr. was a monster, or you're giving Devin Haney hella credit because of the Jose Ramirez fight and then what he had to go through with the Ryan Garcia fight. And what was Ryan Garcia on, bro? What was he on that?
He was on that alien piss. He out there in the restrooms collecting it off of unknown planets. I'm like, bro, what is you putting in your system? Talking about it's been tainted by you. That's who. What do you mean it's been tainted? How you?
Oh man, yo, for me, I'm going Rolly and Ryan, but I'm gonna tell you why though. I'm gonna tell you why. Rolly is one of them fighters, man. Like he really doesn't have skill, right? Like he doesn't have skill, but he's so awkward with his style. He makes fights interesting. And despite Ryan Garcia being on the space juice, right? Him coming back off of the Devin Haney situation. The reason I'm picking this fight as upset of the year is because Rolly messed up some major money. He messed up some major money. That was supposed to have been a Ryan Garcia win. They wasn't even treating Rolly right going into the fight. If you listen to Rolly's interview after he won that fight, he was saying Turki Al-Sheikh and that production team was doing some real shady stuff behind closed doors going into the fight. You know what I'm saying? Basically letting him know that he was definitely B-side. And they do that on every card, but he said, he thought it was a little excessive. But we were supposed to get Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney too, no space juice in 2025. And Rolly Romero said, hell no. Like, that's not happening. So, and I think the odds too was like, I think Ryan Garcia had to been like a 6-1 favorite or something like that. So it was big. It was a
question. What's in Devin is in this equation that you were speaking of.
Mm-hmm.
What is a better accomplishment for the year for him? Saying one or the other happened and what the outcome of it happening. The rematch with Ryan Garcia or going up and winning the welterweight title. What is a better accomplishment for the year? Saying either of them happened. Like they both happened within the same year or like, within a year span or whatever. Like just
I'm going to say hypothetically,
what would have been better?
I'm going to say Haney.
Or one happened this year. Like we know one happened. So what would have been a better year for you as an ending result? Him fight Ryan Garcia and win a split decision or whatever, or go up and beat a proven puncher, a proven banger, right, and win a boxing match where he actually outpowered the power puncher.
Hey, Ty, you want to answer that first? You want to get at that first?
Say it again, Flo.
What would be a better accomplishment for this 2025 year? Which one would you pick and say, okay, that would be fighter of the year based on doing that this year?
I would say definitely going up to 147 and beating Norman, because if you think about it, this is a new weight division. Norman's a champion. He's a power puncher, and he goes up. He doesn't take no soft touch. He goes straight in there with a champion, drops the guy, beat him easily, and now he's a champion in a new division. So to me, that's way bigger accomplishment than rematching.
That supports
Ryan's never been a champion.
That supports my argument towards Jeff picking Rolly as an upset. First of all, is he really upsetting a fighter that we know is a proven juicer? So now you got a fighter having to come off the juice. Are we expecting for him to perform at his best? Can we say we've ever seen him at his best? We don't know what his best is because he's been juicing.
Can I answer that?
Yeah.
That just goes to show you how much Rolly is cheeks, bro.
Or is it Ryan? No, but is it Ryan that's truly cheeks? So can you really give Rolly that credit?
We can look at it your way too. I'll look at it your way. Let's just say Ryan's cheeks, and let's say Rolly is cheeks. Ryan was still a 6-1 favorite.
That's because
they both again.
That's why I was like, but hold up. supporting my understanding that these casuals that set these rules and all of that don't know what they're doing, because again, Devin Haney came in as the underdog. He ended up as a slight favorite.
Hey, bro, but skill wise, Haney had the better skills, right? I'm talking about you. I ain't talking about everybody else. I'm talking about you.
Yes, but his power had always been in question because of the shoulder situation, and we hadn't seen anything since he knocked out the skinny boy with the uppercut.
Hey yo, but that was icing on the cake though. Him getting that knockdown was just icing on the cake. I'm talking about just a flat out fighter. Like if Devin Haney comes in that fight right, he's nobody's underdog.
But he was.
It was close to even though. It was close to even. It was close.
At the end, right before, hours before the fucking match, bro. Trust me, I was checking.
Yeah, but the thing with Brian Norman, even when he was a favorite, I didn't see anything more than a minus 140, 145. That's the highest I've seen.
Yeah, I don't set the numbers as far as whatever they say is gonna be. That's them. I'm just talking about the plus and minus.
I'm not knocking the choice. I'm not knocking the choice at all. And there's some people out here that would say Haney over Brian Norman Jr. is upset of the year. I'm just saying, if you're picking that, you have to fall in under one of them two categories where you actually think Brian Norman Jr. was a monster, or Devin Haney had to overcome so much going into the fight that him actually getting the victory.
Well, see, that's I don't use words like that. I would have used a power puncher that to me came in as the favorite, coming off the situation he just came off of, feeling good. You outweighing this dude naturally.
Why was he the favorite?
Because of what he just did.
To who?
To the betting odds makers and amongst the casuals.
No, I'm talking about why he was the favorite. Why?
He's the champ.
Nah. All champs don't come in the favorite, bro. You know that.
I mean, well, he's the heavier fighter.
No, bro. I'm talking. Take the, because I know you're kind of speaking for both parties. You're speaking for the hardcore party, and you're speaking for the non-hardcore party. I'm talking about you. If you had to say Brian Norman Jr. was a favorite going in,
based on power. But
he's faced some other power punches too, though.
But he ain't faced nobody that's starching motherfuckers like that.
Right. And see, that's what I'm saying.
Come on, Jeff. Let's be honest. We can run down Devin Haney's career. He has not faced nobody starching motherfuckers like that, and that wasn't the first starching, bro. What's the white boy that he had, squiggly leg and twisting in the ring and shit?
But the thing is, bro, we see guys knocking guys out, but if we don't know who the opponent is, who was the opponent?
Who was what opponent?
The guy that he knocked out.
They was contenders. They was in there trying to get the belt from him.
No, I understand. No, I understand that. But I'm talking about put your hardcore boxing hat on. Jin Sasaki, who is he? He is
I think he was second or third.
He was ranked second. He was ranked second. Right.
And we know the WBO is a word. They do more they rankings internationally. They don't just concentrate on a Western fighter like that. So their aspect of in their rankings of fighters, you got to put that in based on with your knowledge of the game too, and say, okay, you got to give it to do.
Let me ask you this real quick, and I'm not gonna lie, like I'm telling you now, this is kind of a setup, right? This is a setup question. Listen, what would you have had the odds being for that fight going into the fight? Now, I'm gonna tell you the reason why this is set up. I'm gonna tell you why. We had this discussion on a prior show. And we agreed too.
And you talking about against the Japanese boy?
No. I'm talking about Brian Norman Jr.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. I think I had it close to 50-50. I think it was like I had Haney up like 60-40 or like 65 55 something like that, 55-45 something like that.
My dog BFV is on point. In the past, he would have fell for traps like that. He didn't fall for it on New Year's Eve. That's what I'm talking about, bro. That's what I'm talking. You get a hand clap for that. We were on a tie. We was on the show. And we were talking about this fight. And this is why I said it was a setup question. Because we were talking about betting on the fight. And I said, yo, matter of fact, Vlog was like, yo, like Brian Norman Jr. is a favorite. And Shane was on the show. And I said, there's no way. There's no way Brian Norman Jr. is a favorite. I said, there's no way. And Ty, you was on the show too, because I was like, yo, like I said, he's gonna have to get more than one knockdown to win this fight on the cards. Like, I actually put it up as a clip. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I literally put it up as one of the clips for the show. Like, in reality, like I had it the same way, bro. I was just like, even an off night for Haney, I still got Haney like 55-45. If he's on, I had it like 65-35. And that was only because of respect for Brian Norman Jr. possibly landing the money shot. And then we wasn't 100% sure about Haney neither, because the Jose Ramirez joint, it was gas pedal city. You know what I mean? It was gas pedal city.
These youngsters are in the streets talking about high stepping. That was real high stepping right there, homie.
He was high stepping crazy.
He thought he was on an escalator.
Yeah, man. He was high stepping crazy, man. Like I respect all of them picks, man. But that the Haney and Brian Norman, that's definitely an interesting one for sure. And definitely there's a lot of people that probably feel like that's
we'll see what the comments look like.
Yeah, for sure. You know, we're gonna clip this up for sure. So we got two more left. We got most disappointing fighter of the year.
I think that was it.
I think we had fighter of the year. And we have fighter of the year. Which one are we gonna go with?
Easy. Let's knock out fighter of the year because it's easy. Obviously, we all know fighter who it is. It's Terrence Bud Crawford. I'm just gonna run through. I'm gonna run through a couple. That had some good years. Go ahead.
Terrence Crawford, of course. He got the victory over Canelo. Made history with that. Inoue is on the list as well. He had for him having 4 title defenses in a year. I think that's really, really good. You rarely hear that from championship fighters. David Benavidez had a good year as well. Bivol had a good year. Any victory over Beterbiev, you gotta factor him in. And I got a dark horse too. Man. Abdullah Mason. Abdullah Mason had 4 fights this year, capped it off with the Sam Noakes victory. He's the youngest champion in boxing at the age of 21 years old. And he had a really, really good year. He also had that fight where he got knocked down twice too and came back and got that too. So I definitely, out of respect for Abdullah Mason and the work he's put in, I definitely got to add him to this list as well. Outside of Crawford, because that's the obvious choice. Outside of Crawford, where would you go? Who would be second on your list?
I ain't gonna lie, bro. It would be Lamont Roach for me. Because I thought he got robbed. So this is if any of the real, if it's from real journalists, this is their point to reward a boxer, giving him fighter of the year.
So you're giving him fighter of the year for 2 robberies?
For 2 robberies where they clearly victories. Even in the fight that he got knocked down, legitimate knockdown against Pitbull, and he still won easily on them cards by 3 rounds.
Ooh, wow, that's a take. So you have Lamont Roach.
That's fighter of the year.
Wow.
For 2
draws.
He clearly won both fights easily by a combined 5 rounds. Now,
I'm not arguing whether he won both fights. I felt like he won both fights. So you're
That's two of
giving
the
him
biggest.
two.
That's two of the biggest names on PBC.
Wow. Wow.
You
Wow.
just knocked off two of their marquee dudes. They
That
knew it. So the best way
Lamont
they can
Roach-
save face is to give a draw. That's the best way they can save face.
Lamont Roach did not cross my brain for fighter of the year. That is a very interesting take.
Bro, it's me, your friendly neighborhood OG. I'm gonna up you on real game, you dig?
Hey Ty, who you got as fighter of the year, bro?
For me, I'm just it was, but I'm gonna just go with Benavidez because we know he chased the Canelo fight, he didn't get it, so he moves up to 175. David Benavidez, even though he didn't have as much as experience, he was still a big guy, a knockout artist. He gets past David Benavidez. He fights Anthony Yard. He stops Anthony Yard. Now he's leaving 175 to go to cruiserweight. You know what I mean? Even though cruiserweight isn't really jumping, it's still he's moving up another weight class and he's taking on another greater fighter. So Benavidez shows over and over he's willing to take on the best. So my hats off to him, man. He's one of those guys that's always got an entertaining fight, and he brings it. And like I said, now he's jumping up another weight class. So for me, it's Benavidez.
Okay. I can't support the fighter of the year argument, but I can definitely based on that argument supports me having him on my pound for pound list. So I'm good with that.
David Benavidez is definitely on my pound for pound list. For him to fight David Morrell, where 9 out of 10 fighters would not have fought David Morrell in that spot, you definitely got to salute him for that, because at the time of that fight, David Morrell was one of the top 3-4 prospects in the sport. And in my personal opinion, I'm like, if you're going to take on a fighter like that, you get him early. So strategically, that was the best time to get a David Morrell, but to fight David Morrell.
Technically, he was actually a champion, but we ain't gonna say nothing about that. It may not have been truly earned based on his fight record, but
that's why that's why I ain't even mention it. That's
why
I ain't even mention it. That's why I ain't even mention it. You know, but
plus Benavidez was looking flabby at them face-offs, man. He wasn't. He was not in shape, man. But he still get the job done. But man,
come on, man. You know how them Coke boys be, man. They got them baller bellies, man. I'm sure him and your boy Parker, you know, they know how to, you know what I mean, do them what's up, messages.
Listen,
shout out to Benavidez. He definitely on my pound for pound. And nice comeback from that situation too, though.
Yeah, and what he did to Yard too, that was impressive as well, big. Because you know Yard is a good fighter, man. He definitely.
It's fights like that. The Delomes and these type of dudes. When you get that, it's time, bro. It's over, bro. You know, don't be out here chasing checks. It's not good for your health. All money ain't good money. So to me, that's them type of fights where. It's like it should be a message to these cats. I hope it ain't. You know, these knockouts shouldn't be brutal. But go ahead.
Everybody ain't doing that to Yard neither, though. But it credits Benavidez too.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like it can't get too much better than that if you fighting this elite competition like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Benavidez definitely had a really good year, man. Obviously, Buzz the fighter of the year because of what he did in that one fight against Canelo Alvarez, going up essentially 3 weight classes to get it done. I didn't think it was a close fight. I think I had it 9-3, something like that. I didn't think it was a close fight. But outside of that, I would say, I mean, this is kind of just a wild card thing. I'm just gonna give it to Abdullah Mason. I think he really, in terms of top rank moving their guys, I think this is one of the best jobs they've done in terms of moving a prospect that they like to championship status. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because Abdullah Mason, he had to run into a couple of different styles on his way up to being champion. A lot of times with top rank, they're very, very precise in terms of who they put their guys up against. With Abdullah Mason, they kind of just threw a little bit of everything at him. So Abdullah Mason, you could see him take them steps at each fight, take them steps. And even if he showed flaws, you see him come back and recover from the flaws. Sam Noakes, championship fight. Sam Noakes was fighting a little unclean, but a young fighter at 21, a lot of them fighters can't handle that type of stuff. That rough, dirty tactics. When you fighting a young guy like Abdullah Mason, that's what you do. You do the you do the dirty tactics. And he was able to overcome that as well. So not only did Abdullah Mason become the youngest champion in the sport at the age of 21, he's recovered from knockdowns, got up. He's recovered from dirty fighting, took care of that as well. And he has shown that he can adapt to any situation. So even though Abdullah Mason, obviously he has work to do, I think he had. I would give him an honorary.
Yeah, I think the nominee, just based on accomplishments, for sure, he deserves it. Overcoming definitely. Is there, some sharpness that can still be honed into his game? I do believe with age comes knowledge, you know what I mean, and honing your skills a little bit. So I think he definitely can, you know what I mean, be a little bit better in there. Maybe not as warish in there. Get back to his boxing, you know what I mean. So I think that'll iron itself out, but definitely honorable mention for sure. Definitely deserved to have his invitation to the party. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Being there, taking pictures, red carpet treatment for sure.
Absolutely. Big shout out to Abdullah Mason, man. And we got the last category of the night before we get up out of here, man, which is the most interesting one.
Yeah.
Most disappointing fighter of the year. Now, I have some names. Of course, you guys can come up with your own names. I'm going to mention the names that I have. Ty, I'm going to let you rip off first. The most disappointing fighters of 2025. Number one, Cool Boy Steph.
Me, number one, man. One stayed over Keyshawn Davis.
Ooh, he going right off the rip.
What he pulled as a main event, hometown headliner, didn't make weight, didn't get paid, lose the title, fighting backstage, arguing with Abdullah Mason, arguing with him, and you ain't even fighting him. And then on top of all that, he's in the crowd smiling, eating popcorn, none of that even happened.
Don't forget about the Albright situation.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, that had a lot. Like I said, I know a lot of people that went to that fight and they were disappointed. I mean, Abdullah Mason still got bumped up to the main event. He still performed, got a stoppage. But what Keyshawn did was some BS, man. As a champion, as the headline, as a main event, as the name in that state, that was some BS that he pulled, man. So for me, it's definitely Keyshawn Davis.
BFV, go.
No, finish your list. I wanna.
Okay.
Yeah, you came out with one of my top dogs.
Ty came out guns blazing.
He was on there too. Both y'all rolling. So keep it going. Y'all both got guys that's high on my shit.
So Cool Boy Steph, Stephen Fulton. Well, him coming in overweight, for his fight against Shaq Foster. And the way he looked in that fight as well. Ryan Garcia taking a loss to Rolly Romero and just his overall activity for 2025. Keyshawn Davis was on my list as well for everything that Ty Finney stated. And I got two dark horses, and the vlog is going to love these two names. Jana Beck and Subriel Matias.
I agree with that.
Where you going with it? Most disappointing fighter of the year.
Number one for me was Cool Boy Steph. And it wasn't, to me, it obviously has to do with the weight, but just your performance, bro. Even if you're a little overweight, you still got to box. You still got to show skill, some defensive ability. As you got heavier, it seemed like you started lacking that shit. When you was at 122, I seen you dipping out of the way, countering, and getting some steam on your shots and looking real sharp. But the heavier he got, the more out of control his weight got. Just seemed like his sharpness as a true, tactician in there just fell off, bro. So he's definitely high on my list. Ryan Garcia would come in at a 1A, you know what I mean, based on unable to bounce back, unable to show true skill in the ring, because the shot that you got off on Haney is not even like you finished him. You knocked him down, whoop-de-doo. You was super juiced up and you still couldn't get rid of the competition? Bro, what would 15 rounds would have stopped his heart? So he's definitely on the list as disappointing. And again, you talking about Rolly Cheeks. This is a situation for Devin, for Ryan to set up one of the biggest real non-title type of fights in the history of boxing. Because there wouldn't have been no real title on the line. They would have did some interim garbage or whatever. But you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying that would have been one of the biggest non-title fights in the history of boxing. As far as like not being undisputed or super like some unification or anything of that level. You know what I mean? So I think he dumb Cheeks for that. You know what I mean? He blown out. Yeah. Don't even nobody even want that. They bypass him when he on the block showing ass. They like
I want to add something too.
Yes, sir.
I want to add another name. So for me, definitely Martin Bakole, and I'm gonna tell you why. So we know he took that fight on 2 days' notice against Parker. So we know he didn't have time to train. But that's why there's that saying, you always got to stay in shape, stay ready, because you never know when the phone's gonna call. So just like when he showed up in that ring, man, he just looked big. Like, he was huge. And like, and this is the guy they said was the boogeyman in the heavyweight division. And to top that off, he has another fight this year against Efe Ajagba. He didn't pass that test either. So the boogeyman in the heavyweight division, he ain't win neither fight he had this year. So for me, Bacole's definitely on that list.
Wow. Okay.
Which is crazy. I get it. I really get that. I get that. Honest to God, I get that. But I never looked at him as a boxer. You know what I mean? Like I didn't see no skill with like the power that he got off. You know what I mean? I just seen him able to track down a lot of guys that he was bigger than, and he was putting hands on cats. Like to me, he just had a major size advantage against Anderson in this show.
Damn, that's a good point, Ty. Damn, that's a good point. I didn't think of that one.
You might as well say he just like, what's the guy named Darmani Rock? You said Darmani Rock was fresh off the couch, and look what happened. He got stopped by Coffee, and we ain't seen him since. So his new nickname is the Ghost.
You took it back, Darmani Rock. That was my guy from Philly, man. He fought Michael Coffey years ago.
Let me throw this last name. Yeah. Let me throw this last name out there. Tank Davis. Tank Davis.
Good one.
Tank Davis.
Good one.
5-fight deal. You got Turkey, and you not fulfilling your end of the bargain. You gave us one fight, and you pitched a draw, and that was they gave you that because of the backroom deal. You know what I mean? They done earpiece something. Got to the ring. It did something, bro.
That's damn. Y'all definitely bought the smoke with that one, because I didn't think of Tank Davis. I definitely didn't think of Martin Bakole, but those are definite choices for sure. I gotta go back. I don't even know who I have as the most disappointing fighter of the year now, since y'all brought them two up, because they're both legit points. And Ty, I want to speak on what Ty said, because with Martin Bakole, after the Jared Anderson win, like he was supposed to another reason why that point was so good is because with Martin Bakole, you get a win like that, you got to be strategic in your moves. Why are you even taking that fight with a couple days notice? That's disappointing. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter how much of a role you're on. Like for him to take that fight with a couple days notice is crazy.
That's when you believing in your power too much and you're not a real boxer.
But
He just goes to show you he never set his power up. He never did anything that was learned in that gym. They probably worked on his conditioning, heavy bag punching. They ain't in there strategizing and really teaching him the fine nuances of the sport.
The thing I like about Bakole though, he throws a lot of short shots, and that's a dangerous individual to be in the ring with. Somebody that big that throws short shots and they can generate so much power off of short shots. But Big George Foreman was like that, short shots. And that torque on the shots was so crazy. But for him to be on that level after that Jared Anderson fight, and for him to take a fight on a couple days' notice, that's disappointing. That's disappointing to his team. I'm sorry. I'm not taking that fight. I'm not taking that fight off a couple days' notice, not a couple weeks, a couple days.
And they know he was that. They know they had to go get him from the bar the past weekend.
He was big, like when they were just doing the announcement, saying the names, and they showed that camera on Bakole. I was like, bro, he's big, like he's huge.
Yeah,
it's like he didn't train. It's like he didn't train, like he didn't do anything in the gym prior to that.
He was in there holding the bag for everybody else.
Hey, Ty. Yo, and you can tell he took that fight on a couple of days' notice. Did you see the boxing trunks, brother? Man, the boxing trunks was crazy, bro.
Terrible, bro.
Listen, the dirty YNs and all that. They get them checkered boxes from the Poppy store, and they dirt ball as soon as you see them. Like he had them on for trunks. I was just like, yo, I said, this is some nasty work. I was like, they got him off the couch a couple days before the fight, and he come in with the picnic basket shorts on. I was just like, oh man. I'm like, that was disappointing. That whole process was disappointing. And you know what? Him and F.A. Ajagba, that was a good fight too, though. Not fight of the year, but that was a good action fight too, though. That was a good fight.
I was surprised F.A. stood up under that shit. He didn't really get nothing super clean off. He didn't. He just wasn't clean enough.
Yeah, I'm surprised too. Damn, I guess I got to pick somebody. I can't pick Cool Boy. I can't pick Cool Boy, and I can't pick Keyshawn. I'm gonna go with Janibek, yo. I'm gonna go with Janibek because not only did he get popped for the Space Juice, but lost his title, lost his fight on one of the biggest cards of the year, got stripped, and lost the ring belt on top of that. And he has no fan base. So I don't, and it's one of the lighter divisions in the sport in terms of champions and just up and coming guys.
Can we also blame him for the Bud retirement? You want to throw that in there too?
Yeah, we can blame him for part of the Bud retirement as well, because that was one of the targets for Bud if the WBC thing didn't happen, for him to go undisputed in another weight class. So Janibek, he screwed up some possibly historic fight, unification fight with Bud Crawford down the line. I think he'd have had his difficulty with Lara anyway, but to lose your belt off of testing positive for the Space Juice, and who knows how long he's been on the Space Juice. His career is basically on the downslide, and it's nothing more disappointing than you losing your belt because you can't stay clean, and then you don't have an army full of fans for you to bounce back. At least with Keyshawn, he screwed up the event. Keyshawn's a popular fighter, and on top of that, he's a good fighter. And as far as we know, he's a clean fighter. So he had something to fall back on.
This what I think happened with Janibek. They wasn't testing early. He looked good a couple early fights back when they was doing the Friday night fights thing, and they was first, giving us some light on him. Obviously, they trying to set him up for the major type of pay-per-views, big Dazan card, because obviously Top Rank knew they was having to shift over their streaming services. So they were like, okay, you got to clean up because they testing over there. So we going to put you in here. And if you look at 2 straight fights, he didn't look like that early Janabek. He didn't, and they was like, oh, it was just the style and all of that. Nah, he didn't look sharp. He didn't look like that killer. You know what I mean? So obviously it could have been that juice. And then when it's time to shine again, he was like, yo, I'm fighting. I might have to take something. And I think he got caught again. You know what I mean? So when he was on, he felt like he was ready. He could have made, made that make a difference versus Laura. But I think it was a timing thing with them drugs when it come to these cats getting caught. It's like they you know what I mean? They just get pinched. Cycling off, then trying to reboost, getting a little shot. You know what I mean? Ain't gonna stay in there that long because I'm not like doing it consistently to where as though they don't feel like they can't piss it out or shit it out or grow it out their hair or however they get rid of this shit. I don't know.
Yeah. And I'm a mention this last thing before we get up out of here. This is not a fighter, but I want to mention the disappointment. The WBC. WBC has been on some bullshit this year. They really been on some bullshit this year, man. Subriel Matias, he got tested positive for the space juice, and he's fighting January 10th. And the explanation the WBC has given for that is absolutely insane. Okay. The second thing is Cool Boy Steph came in overweight, unprofessional, couldn't win a title. They put up an interim title at 135 just to give Stephen Fulton an opportunity to win a belt in a third weight class. That was some nasty work. And then the whole Terrence Crawford situation, for you to charge more money than all the other sanctioning bodies when Terrence Crawford actually paid all the other sanctioning bodies, and to screw that situation up. And on top of that, them just charging a lot of sanctioning fees to a lot of these hardworking fighters, more than the other sanctioning bodies. We get it. Sanctioning bodies are going to have some fees and things like that. We get it. That's just a part of the sport. We're not going to ignore that. But the WBC, you're not a fighter, but you're one of the more disappointing figures in boxing in 2025. Y'all been on some bullshit. Y'all been on some bullshit. Y'all been pulling off some nasty work, some real nasty work. And I really wanted to get that off my chest.
I agree with that.
What you got, Ty?
Man, I was just gonna say this. I mean, this guy isn't like a big name or anything, but I just want to throw this in there. Cornflake LaManna, he's had a lot of shots on the big stage, and he's came up short every time. He's came up short against Laura. He's came up short against Coda. He was stopping both of them fights. And I was watching them interviews with YSM, and he was saying, he was going to shock the world. Charlos had all this inactivity. Cornflake's been on a nice streak. Of course, fighting guys we don't know, but his record of inactivity was nice. And he gets in there like this. To me, this was his last hurrah. You got one more shot to make a name for yourself on the big stage, and he gets dropped and stopped. So I'm like, to me, like, I'm real disappointed in Cornflake. So now he's back to fighting at local venues in New Jersey.
Yeah, I think and that's interesting that you said Cornflake LaManna, because Cornflake there's a lot of cornflakes in the sport of boxing in terms of guys that have average talent, average at best talent, and they get these opportunities, but they're the ones that get the most opportunities. The ones that got the average to less than average talent, they have somewhat of a name or somewhat of a movement, and the better fighters are calling them out as stopgap fights. But you want to see them just rise to the occasion one good time. And with them, the one thing I'll say, Todd, is that I don't ever expect for them to get the victory. So I don't ever get too high up on them for me to be disappointed.
Let me wrap the show up with this. I'll be in these boxing streets. I'm back. I'm getting ready to get off the porch. You know what I mean? So check for me coming in the next year. Probably start the channel back with my top 10 or something like that. But check for me here in the next week or so. That being said, though, I was in these streets here lately, just peeking from the porch or whatever, I have my binoculars on. And I heard Boots' name on the list for disappointing fighters. I disagree based on this. It's not his fault that there's ducks in the ocean. It's not his fault.
I wouldn't say that though. I mean, I was there at the Stanionis fight. That was what for a title, right? And he stops this guy.
Yeah.
But no, that technically they talking about 25. I think that was the end of 24, wasn't it? That wasn't 20. That wasn't early 24.
He stopped Stanionis back in April.
That was April.
Yeah, I think
that was Stanionis. Yeah.
And then the jump up. That's why I said it don't make no sense. But they talking about the big names. You know what I mean?
I think.
That's who I forgot for my list. Virgil Ortiz. That is who I forgot to mention for my list, y'all. I didn't finish my list after Tank, but Tank is right there at the top. And I had a couple little underlings and shit, Steph and all, Steven and all of them. But Virgil Ortiz is definitely on the list, so I'm gonna finish it with that. Boot shouldn't be on nobody's list. That means your list is trash.
I think Virgil Ortiz is Duck of the Year. I'll definitely give him that for sure.
Yeah.
That wasn't a category, but I'll definitely create it. Virgil Ortiz is definitely Duck of the Year. And to have Boots come out there to that fight that he had against Erickson Lubin, to have him hop into the ring, to have him do a face-to-face, and then when you get in the back at the press conference, you talking about your dream fight is Errol Spence. Like that's nasty work, bro. That's nasty work. That's duck work. That's DuckTales, bro. That's DuckTales work. You know what I mean? Like that's nasty.
Would you say Scrooge McDuck is running the camp over there?
Scrooge McDuck, man. Like that's Scrooge McDuck. And I want to say this before we go. To y'all fighters out there, if y'all not interested in a certain fight, y'all be better off just coming out saying like, hey, like that's just not the route that I want to go right now. I'm going in a different direction. And I'm okay with that. Just embrace
a duck, but
embrace the duck.
It's just a little baby duck.
Embrace the duck, because what's going to happen is if Virgil Ortiz and Boots don't happen, they're going to blame Boots. They're going to blame Boots. And then when Boots takes a fight to stay active and stay busy, then they're going to criticize the opponent. Criticize the opponent.
That's like blaming the shark for not being able to catch a duck. It's like, come on, bro. It's the ocean. Like, come on, bro. Like, you want crazy. This man to do?
Yeah, Virgil Ortiz is definitely Duck of the Year for sure. Like that's not even close. But he does have an opportunity to redeem himself in 2026. Sign that contract, brother. Sign that contract. Get that.
Plenty time. Year ain't even got started yet, bro.
It's money time.
Yeah, we're gonna give you a little bit of leeway.
If you beat Boots, then get Spence. How about that?
I ain't even mad at that.
How about that? Hey, man, this was a great show, yo.
Appreciate you having me on.
Hour 23, long, man. 2025 award show for Throw the Hook podcast, man. Ty Finney, the legend, man, definitely did some really good work in 2025 in this corner podcast. All the interviews you've done in 2025, man. What do you have in mind for 2026? What do you got cooked up? What you trying to do?
Yeah, man, I'm trying to get back on the interview game, man. Like I've already actually talked to some guys that's actually reached out to me. So yeah, I'm gonna try to get back on my interview thing, man, and hear what these fighters got to say for sure. And salute I would say Darnell Boone, man. Salute to Darnell Boone. Like he's like. People will look at his record and say, "Oh man, he can't fight," but you don't know the backside to the story. But salute to Boone, man. He's doing his thing, like he's traveling state to state, like rapping and stuff, like doing stuff, concerts and all that. So he's a man of many talents, man. So salute to Darnell Boone, man.
Darnell Boone, for the people that don't know, Darnell Boone is the guy that put Andre Ward on his ass early in his career, man. Darnell Boone was that guy that if you was an up-and-coming fighter or you considered yourself a good fighter, You had to go see Darnell Boone. You had to go see Darnell
The
Boone.
sport wouldn't be the sport without gatekeepers like
Facts.
that.
Yeah, Darnell Boone.
Real warriors, you got to prove yourself against. Iron sharpen iron. So salutes to all of them warriors like that in the game. Just your record don't always tell us who you really are. It's what you do by keep coming back. You know what I mean? Absolutely. And then hopefully these cats are not showing the wear and tear outside the ring. But you saying my man rapping, so obviously he ain't showing no wear and tear. So big shout out to all the warriors like that, man.
Absolutely. Vlog, what do you have cooking for the channel?
Well, I talked about it a little bit a few minutes ago. Like, I'm gonna bounce back. I'm gonna try reintroduce the channel, get back in the mix in 2026. I'm gonna probably start off with a solid top 10. Gotta do a little bit of homework, you know what I mean? And I'm gonna just run from there. Yeah, a little pound for pound top 10. You know, gotta start off 26 with a nice little topic to really, you know, kick up the mix and kick up some dust in these streets.
Yeah.
Get folks active. And then obviously previews, the fight previews. And I'm coming from more of a strategic point of view, because we like to talk about boxing from an X's and O's situation, because I'm an analyst of the sport that way. And you will see more videos like that where it's really about X's and O's. And obviously, we still keep the lab coats on and we do a little prediction and things like that. But it's back to some real hardcore boxing.
Absolutely. Basically, you know, Throw the Hook podcast. Definitely gonna get into more of the interview side of things. It's something I've kind of shied away from, but I feel like it's a necessity. Going that route, so you'll probably see more interviews from me going forward. Obviously, January is a really big month for boxing, so even though he shouldn't be main eventing, but Subriel Matisse, that card on January 10th, we definitely got to cover that. The Andy Cruz title fight on January 24th at the Fountain Blue. I think that's in Vegas. Is it Vegas or Florida?
Is Pop still head corner man?
Yeah, Pops is still head corner man. Bozy
shout out to the Ennis family.
Yeah, big shout out to Bozy. So that's a good card too. Khalil Cole and Jesse Hart. That'll be a really good fight as well. That card is shaping up nice. And then we got, you know, I know it's early in 2026, but probably going to be one of the biggest cards in 2026. Teofimo Lopez and Shakur Stevenson. That whole card is fire from top to bottom. That's a solid. I think I seen like
little grudge match on there. Little grudge match.
Yeah, I seen
that playing Charlo situation. That should be a nice little. If Plant can't get up for that one, you know it might be over for him. You got to stand on that slap, baby.
So that's that card as well. So we got a lot of business to take care of in early, you know, 2026. But you know, it'll be, you know, Ty Finney the Legend doing his thing and Boxing First Vlog, reintroducing his channel and putting things out there. And then, you know, of course, I'm gonna do what I do. But you know, we got goals for 2026. There's some certain subscriber numbers we got to hit, you know, on all levels, not only for Ty but for Vlog and myself. You know, the more we grow together, the better the distribution of content is going to be. You know, because wherever you see me, you'll see it on Ty's channel, you'll see it on Vlog's channel, and vice versa. So that's just how we moving, man. It's been a great 2025, man. We're gonna give y'all a better 2026. So on behalf of Boxing First Vlog, BFV, aka Blunt, aka the Blunt Truth, Ty Finney the Legend, aka In This Corner Boxing, your boy G5 Jeff TV, aka Throw the Hook Podcast, man. We're gonna see y'all in 2026. Peace.
Peace.